Hello and welcome to this video on using place value to work out calculations. For this topic you need to have a really good understanding of the place value table. So you can see here at the bottom, if we are multiplying by powers of 10, then we go to the left. If we're dividing by powers of 10, we go to the right. So here is an example, 280. If I was dividing that number by 10, I would go one jump to the right. If I was dividing it by 100, I'd go two jumps to the right to get 2.8. If I started with the number 2.8 or 2.80 and I multiplied it by 10, I'd go one jump to the left. Or if I was multiplying 2.8 by 100, I would go two jumps to the left to get back to 280. If 3 multiplied by 5 is 15, what else do you know? Well, let's start with the basics. So we need to know that the inverse is 15 divided by 5 is 3, and similarly 15 divided by 3 is 5. But what else do we know? Well, we could use some other facts. We could multiply the 3 by 10 to get 30, multiply that by 5 and get 150. We could do something similar, multiply both numbers, both 3 and 5 by 10 to get 30 and 50, multiply those and I get 1,500. I could divide the 3 by 10 to get 0.3. If I multiply that by 5, I get 1.5. Here's a similar calculation. And you might be able to see what's going on here. Here are some more examples. And there are many more that I could write. So if I am just multiplying or dividing part of the question by powers of 10, then my digits 1 and 5 are just shifting in the place value table. So you can see here, that's in the hundreds, that's in the tens. Here, that's in the thousands, that's in the hundreds. Here, that's in the units, that's in the tenths. Here, that's in the tenths, that's in the hundredths. So that 1, 5 is just shifting in the place value table if I am multiplying or dividing my question by powers of 10. So let's have a look at this in an exam context. So it says, use the fact that 36 multiplied by 147 is 5,292 to work out the following calculations. Okay, so here I've got A, 3.6 multiplied by 147. Okay, so I just need to look at the fact that my question part here has been divided by 10. So here I've gone from 36 to 3.6. That means I've been divided it by 10. So that means I need to divide my answer part by 10 as well. So if I divide my answer part, I get 529.2. B, 36 multiplied by 14,700. Okay, so here my 36 hasn't changed, but my 147 has now become 14,700. So it's been multiplied by 100. So therefore, my answer has to be multiplied by 100 as well. Part C. 5,292 divided by 147. Well, we saw in our first example with 3 times 5 being 15, we found out that 15 divided by 3 is 5 and 15 divided by 5 is 3. So here the same is true. 5,292 divided by 147 is just going to give me this number back, 36. What about part D? It says 37 multiplied by 147. This comes up quite a lot in exam situations, so you've got to be on the lookout. So here, the first part of the question here is 36, but now it's 37. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it just means that I'm going to get an extra 147. Okay, so it's not 36 lots of 147, it's now 37 lots of 147. So I literally just need to add on another 147 onto that. And if I do that, I get 5,439. Example 2. Use the fact that 68 multiplied by 279 is 18,972 to work out the following. Okay, so here my 68 has now become 0.68. So nothing's changed with the 279, that's still the same. So the 68 has been divided by 100 to get to 0.68. So therefore I need to divide my answer by 100. So if I do that, I get 189.72. Part B, 68 multiplied by 27.9. Okay, well, nothing's happened to the 68. The 68 is still the same, but this number, 279, has been divided by 10. So I need to divide my answer by 10. There it is. My answer here, which was 18,972, has been divided by 10 to give me 1,897.2. Part C. 189.72 divided by 68. Okay, well, I know that 18,972 divided by 68 is 279. But now I'm dividing this number, well, these digits, but look, the decimal point is now here. So my answer has been divided by 100. So therefore this bit is going to be divided by 100 as well to give me 2.79. It's also worth saying at this point, it's always worth doing a little estimate in your head and thinking, well, does that answer look reasonable? Well, look at this, it's basically 70, this is basically 200. Yeah, there's a bit more than 2 70s in 200. So yeah, it makes sense that the answer would be 2.79. So always do a bit of an estimate in your head. Part D now, it says 189,720 divided by 279. Well, that bit there has been multiplied by 10. So here was my original answer, but now it's been multiplied by 10 because there's a 0 on the end. I'm dividing by this, so I reckon then this is going to be 10 times bigger. So 68 is going to be 10 times bigger. The answer is going to be 680. Look at your answer. Does it look reasonable? Yeah, 189,720 divided by, so basically, let's call that 200,000 divided by 300. Yeah, it's in the right ballpark. Example number 3. Use the fact that 5.2 multiplied by 137.8 is 716.56 to work out the following. Okay, so we've got 520, so that has been multiplied by 100, and this number now has been multiplied by 10. So let's make a little note of that. So this one has been multiplied by 100, and this one has been multiplied by 10. So can you guess what the answer is going to be multiplied by? Hopefully you have realised it's going to be multiplied by 1,000 because 10 lots of 100 is 1,000. So if I multiply this number by 1,000, remember the digits are going to move 3 jumps to the left. So you're going to end up with 716,560. Okay, let's have a look at next one. So here 5.2 has been multiplied by 10. So I'm going to make a little note of that. That's been multiplied by 10. and well, this has just stayed the same actually, so 137.8, that's the same. So what's going to happen to the answer? Well, it's going to be multiplied by 10, which leaves us with 7,165.6. Okay, here on part C, we've got 716.56, well that's exactly the same as that, but now we're dividing by 1,378, whereas here it's 137.8. So you are dividing by something, and you've got to be really careful here, you're dividing by something which is 10 times bigger. This has been multiplied by 10. Actually, to make that clear, the question part, this number here, has been multiplied by 10 to give this one here. And so you've got to compensate for that. And we'll think about it as well. Think about what would seem reasonable here. This is 716.56 divided by something over 1,000. So it's a smaller number divided by a bigger number. So you're going to expect something smaller, and because you have times this divisor by 10, you've got to compensate, and that's going to leave you with the answer being 10 times smaller, 0.52. Part D, you've got the same original number, but now you're dividing by 0.52. So 0.52, how has that changed? Well, if I did 716.56 divided by 5.2, I would get this answer. But now I'm dividing by something that is 10 times smaller. And because I'm dividing by something that's 10 times smaller, my answer is actually going to be 10 times greater. Okay, so these divisions, you've got to be really careful with these divisions because it doesn't quite follow what you expect it to. But you've just got to look at the question and think what actually looks reasonable. Look at this. This is like saying how many 52p's there are in £716. Well, if you think about the fact there's 2 50p's to £1, then it's going to be roughly double that number, okay? Because it's saying how many 50p's in £716, there's going to be roughly double that amount, so 1,378. Okay, here are a couple of questions for you to have a go at yourselves. So pause the video now, have a go at them, and then resume the video to see the answers. And I will show you the answers now. Well done for having a go at those.